Okay, you should be able to hear me now. Sorry about that. Everything all right now?
Yeah, great, Sarah. Yep, seems to be back in.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right. Just for if it happens again, I got a suggestion. Sorry, while you popped out, it's on the very top at the left. You'll see a little headset,
Yeah.
a headset. You might try clicking that one. That may help as well.
Well, it
So we'll
said
see
that
how we go.
it was something to do with the web socket, so I just thought if I come out,
Oh,
yeah. Anyway,
awesome.
anyway.
Well, it's worked anyway. Okay, back to it.
Yeah, sorry. So, control panel. So you can actually manually control your server using the XAMPP control panel. I'm not a presenter anymore. Hold on. Right. So you can just go into that and click Start. And your Apache server and MySQL server will be running. So to test that your server's up and running, just go to your browser and type in localhost. And you should see the Moodle installer launch. So you can just click the language you want to install Moodle in and click Next. There's a lot of next clicking coming up, so we'll whiz through that quite quick. Most of the fields will be pre-populated, so click Next. And you can put a password in if you want. If it's on localhost, it doesn't really matter, but obviously if this is, if you were going to install Moodle on a production site, you would definitely want a password there. Right, so click Continue, start your installation, and there'll be a few checks done just to make sure that your server's got the minimum requirements needed. Because it's a package, it should be okay, so click Continue. Now you need to wait for Moodle to install, which could take a while. So I think the tendency with web browsers is if it's not doing a lot, people tend to click refresh, so just leave it to do its thing. And eventually when it's done, you'll see Continue at the bottom of the page. So you need to set up your admin account, new password, and an email address, and click Update. Now, I got a blank screen when I installed it, and I did get that before as well. So this might be a common thing. I'm not really sure. It's happened to me. Don't panic. Navigate to the Moodle data folder and delete the cache folder. Now I got this information off the Moodle forums, so if ever you get any problems, always look on the Moodle forums because chances are that the same things happen to somebody else. There was another option. If that didn't work, delete the local cache folder as well. The second I did that, it reappeared, went back to the login page, back to the web browser, and my login page had appeared. So you can log in. Give your site a name. I called it 2.9 just because sometimes you have multiple instances running, so it's easy to keep track of what you're doing. Set your default time zone and save your changes. I'm not going to show you how to create a course, I'm sure you all know that, but you might want to set up a test one at this point. And your test environment set up. So has anyone got any questions about that part of the presentation at all? Or is everyone okay? Everyone's gone to sleep. I don't blame you. So now you want to look at actually installing a plugin and debugging it. So you want to go to administration block and just go to debugging. Turn on developer extra Moodle debug messages and make sure that the display debug messages is checked because that will actually show any on the page just before the header of the web page. And then go to the Moodle plugins directory and find a plugin. So we're going to use the course dedication block. Oh, Kim, you'll be fine. So yeah, we're using course dedication block. The latest version for that is actually for 2.6. So yeah, it's not been updated for a little while. So again, download the folder and we're going to copy and paste that into the Moodle file structure. So go to the server folder and then to the Moodle folder within that. And because this is a block, we're going to put it in the blocks folder. And the Moodle file structure is quite easy to navigate. It's all named the way you would expect. So things to do with courses are in the course folder, etc. And just paste that file into the folder. So unzip it. I usually leave all the zip files in there just in case I want to go back and edit anything, or if I completely mess everything up and just want to start again, then you've got the same, you know, you can start again with the original code. This block, Nick, just looks at how much time a student has spent in a course on average. I haven't actually looked into it too much. We've got it installed where I work, but it was just a really straightforward, simple one with not too many problems. So, you know, good for an easy demonstration. Okay. So if you go back to your web browser and click on notifications, it will take you to the plugins check and just gives you, you know, sometimes if you're doing upgrades, there'll be loads that need to be installed or upgraded or whatever, but we've just got one. So upgrade the Moodle database. It'll just tell you that it's been successful. Let's click continue. That's the page that will be displayed afterwards, but ignore that and go back to the dashboard. So we're going to go into the test course and install the block. So just turn editing on, add the block to the course, and we'll see our first warning. So this is the one that you probably come across the most. I see it quite a lot in the comments of blocks and plugins. People just saying, you know, this error's come up, what do I do? And I'm going to show you what you do. So it will tell you what you need to replace the function with. So everything you need is within that warning code there, that warning error. Can you actually see, or shall I zoom in a bit? I'm not sure if everyone can read that. Yep, okay. There's a lot of other things that could, yeah, as Jeff's saying, there's a lot of other things that could go wrong, but we're just looking at a really basic check, just, you know, a common thing that comes up. So yeah. So find the line in the warning that refers to the deprecated function, and you can see just there the call to get context instance. So that's the line we're looking at, and it shows you the file path and the line number. Yeah, you can change this. Actually, you can change the default layout down the bottom to presentation meeting. That actually makes it a bit bigger. And yeah, there is a fit presentations page button as well, if you want to make it a bit bigger. So, and just right click on the file. I didn't show installing Notepad++, but if you've installed Notepad++, you'll get a little edit with Notepad++ option in your menu. So we're not going to edit the line of code without keeping a copy of it. So duplicate the line of code and comment it out, which is 2 forward slashes at the start of the line. And then you've got that for reference if you need to start again with that or anything. So go back to your web browser and just copy it says please use context XXXX instances. So we're going to copy that part of the code of the warning and just replace the bit that it says we need to get rid of. So that goes in there. So because the context here is block, you replace the X's with block. There's a parameter in there as well, so just copy and paste that in between the brackets. Go back to your web browser and refresh the page and the warning should disappear. And that's quite simple. So now it gets a bit repetitive. You just need to go through the rest of the block and just double check every other page to make sure that there's no other errors. So we're going to check the configuration page for the block, and that's actually fine. There's no warnings generated. So go back to the main page and click the button in the block. And there's 2 more warnings. Oh, just making my screen a bit bigger. So we're just going to do the same again. Find the line of code that we need to go to, which is line 30 in dedication.php, which is a different file to before. Same thing, open it in Notepad++, copy the new function, duplicate the line, and comment. Replace the function with a new one, and change the X's to block because the context is block. This one we've got an instance ID, so we're going to just paste that in between the brackets. Go back to the browser, refresh the page, and the warning will disappear. So we've got a second warning on line 144 this time, which we need to find. Copy it and comment it out, and replace the old function with the new one. So you'll notice this time the context has changed to course. So all you do is just put course instead of the 4 X's. And get the course ID and put that in between the brackets. So go back to the browser and refresh the page and the warning will disappear. So there's one more. You can check the download in Excel. I forgot to put that into the presentation, but that does actually work. So we're going to click the link for actually looking at the user report. And we've got 2 more warnings. This one here, all of these ones are generated by Moodle itself because, it's just saying that you need to replace the function. This second one is generated by PHP, but we'll look at that in a minute. So first of all, we're going to go to line 98 of dedication and do the same again, duplicate and comment out the original line, place the deprecated function. This context is also course, so just put course in there instead of the 4 X's. And put the course ID in between the brackets. So go back to your browser, refresh the page, and the warning will disappear. So now we've got the PHP warning we need to look at. It is a little bit different. You do need to know a little bit of sort of programming, but it's not too difficult. And at least if you kind of, get to this point and need some help and you go onto the Moodle forums and ask, you've kind of cut out most of the other stuff. So it's a bit easier for people to, help you with it. So what the warning's saying is that you can't divide the total dedication by 0. So there's total dedication, and we're trying to divide it by 0, which is the count of rows that have been given by the, nerves, returned from the database. So, or whether the count of rows is greater than 0. And if it is, then we're going to run that line of code. Yep. Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah, okay, thanks. Sorry about this. Okay, so we have added in the extra bit of code. Don't forget your closing bracket, otherwise it won't work. And you can go back to the page and refresh it, and the warning should have gone. So once you've got rid of all of your warnings, you then need to check the plugin to make sure that it works as expected, that it does what you want it to. Just because you've got rid of the warnings doesn't mean that there aren't going to be other sort of inconsistencies. So you do need to thoroughly check through the plugin for everything else. But you say congratulations. So if you're not sure about something, look online. And what I find really useful is the Moodle GitHub repository, because you can actually search the entire repository for a snippet of code. So, if you think, well, I want to swap, which context do I need? I think it might be this. Try it, put it in there and see if it comes up anywhere else. And you can see there, yes, context course is a valid piece of code. So you can try it out. And, I think a lot of certainly for me, a lot of what I do is just trying things to see if they work. Obviously, you need to understand a bit about what you're doing, but don't always, to be honest. If you look in, I was going to mention, when the warning's generated, you'll actually see that which script generated the warning. So there's I can't remember, if you go back, there's a deprecated, in the lib folder, there's a deprecated file. And if you find the new function in there, the function that's called there, sorry, it'll actually give you a little bit more information about what it's expecting. I should have put that in the screenshots. I might add it in and put that up later, just for clarification. Oh, the Moodle forums and the bug tracker, which you can see if you just Google the warning, then you'll get lots of results come up from those two sites. As I say, it's really common, that one. So what have we learned? Don't be scared. Give it a go. It probably, sounds a bit scary, but it's not really. Once you know how to set things up, then you can just have a little dig about and see what's what. Do use the Moodle forums and the bug tracker and just the internet in general. Work methodically. It's quite repetitive, but you do need to be consistent and check things through methodically and, do the same thing over and over again. Pay attention to warning and error messages. I think, if you're used to using Windows, you get an error message and just get rid of it straight away because it never means anything to anyone. Error messages in Moodle do mean something, and they will tell you quite a lot about what you need to do to fix them. And use GitHub to check the code base for examples because that's the right way of doing it. So, yeah, check that. Any questions, anybody? Have I missed anything out? Is there anything you don't understand, or have you all gone to sleep? Oh, that's a good point. Yes, you are fixing it just to put it on your own site. The point is it's not being maintained. But you might still want to use it, and there's no reason why you shouldn't. You just need to know what to check to make sure that it will work. The other thing is, just to quickly mention, yeah, good point, Marcus. Exactly. I haven't got a clue either. I don't really care as long as I can get my plugin working. So yeah, one quick mention. If a block is being maintained, the version number will change. You don't need to touch version numbers. We're not modifying any functionality. We're just correcting some warnings and not changing the original code. And there was a little bit there about the divide by zero thing. The plugin I was going to use, which hadn't been updated for ages, when I went to look at it the other day, it has now been updated. And if I were to edit the version number, it was only an incremental. You probably won't know what this means, most of you, but if you are, if you do developing, the version number had been updated incrementally. So if I'd have even done one incremental version number change, then the system would not have, for instance, the developer hadn't changed the date part of the version number. So just to clarify, don't touch the version numbers. Yeah, there are quite a lot of plugins around the internet for Moodle that aren't on the, aren't in the official directory, but they work fine, and you find things on GitHub, and even other Moodle sites people have set up specifically for their plugin. But I think as long as you know, if you install things on a test server, you know, localhost, you can do whatever you want. If it breaks it, just, you know, start again. You're welcome. Okay, I'm going to turn my mic off now.
Thank you, Sarah, so much. That was fantastic. We learned so much from that. That was really interesting, a really great way of going through things. We'll have this room open for another, say, 10 minutes. If anyone has any questions for Sarah, don't forget, if you think about something later that you might want to ask her, we do have the forums where she can answer the questions for you later. And also, just a reminder to Jeff, Kim, and just Sarah left. There's only 3 left for the 24-hour challenge. That you can keep doing those questions so we can get them done. For the others, there are some questions, trying to keep people on a challenge to see if they can answer some questions throughout these 24 hours, and you'll see them on the presentation, the presenters forum and lounge area. Thanks so much, everyone, and thank you, Sarah, in particular.